Lisa?
Ready.
Interesting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everybody. Today is November 27th, and you are in front of the town of Manlius Planning Board. First item on our agenda is for approval of the minutes of our last meeting on November 13th. Are there any requests for modification or changes?
No. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion by Valerie, second by Aaron to approve the minutes as is. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved as written. The next item on our agenda is the application by Danielle and Ryan Ewert. Mr. Muscan is not here yet. And although I hate to do this, I'm going to bump it right to the next matter, which is the matter of Botar LLC. This is an initial presentation for site plan on property located at 7078 East Genesee Street, Fayetteville, tax map number 92-1-5. Mr. Vogel, how are you, sir?
I am well, thank you very much. Good evening. I'm representing Botar LLC as the applicant. As you know, we were able to have the town board enact a zoning change to rezone the property to RM to allow for this application for their what they want their law office to be at the property. I'm going to have Scott walk through the details, but we think it's fairly straightforward, but of course, we want to get your input and address any questions or comments you have. So Scott, why don't you go ahead?
Sure, I'm gonna present two drawings. First drawing shows existing conditions, the pool, the back patio, large tree, access drive, vegetated area in the middle of an existing parking lot, secondary fountain area, edge of pavement. These are the pictures that are keyed in, the back area where the parking. Since the last meeting, we did put, I'll start with the blue. The blue are the proposed items. So over here we have two proposed, I'll start with signage. We have two signs here and here. And the reason for that is we'd like one sign located right in front of the structure. And we have in your handout that says Botar Law Complex Injury Attorneys. That's sign number one right here. And then we have a second sign that would be face building mounted sign on the building. And then there's a second monument sign located at the entrance. There's been some discussion about entering and exiting, and what we came up with, our client actually came up with this idea. The sign is located perpendicular to the road. On the road side, it says entrance. When you're leaving Botar Law, on the side of the sign, says no right turns from Route 5 onto Drakeout Road. So we kind of thought he thought that was a nice compromise, just to let people know that they should make a right, but they should not go into that drive. We do a lot of work with New York State DOT, and any configuration other than 90 degrees would be highly discouraged. We looked at it, we really felt uncomfortable, and actually what DOT does like is they like to minimize curb cuts to state roads. What they would actually suggest is contrary to what we would want. They would probably, if we talked to them, they would probably ask if we went onto Draycott before we got onto Route 5, and I don't think that's something that would be favorable for the neighborhood. So I think given the low use of this facility, I think retaining the drive in its existing location is the wise thing to do. And I do want to add this also, Mike and I talked about this. They have 15 employees. Yep. A lot of them work remote. They have one deposition a week. They might have one group meeting a week. It's really a low use facility. I mean, if they had an office meeting a couple times a week, everybody would show up. If you go by the code, it would require 29 29 parking spaces. What's there now is, it's residential. There's a pull-off area here, there's a pull-off area here. You're not gonna get 29 spaces there. You have this fountain that kind of gets in the way. So what came up with, this is the pull-off, first page was coming in, taking out the trees in the middle and the little fountain area here. What that would allow us to do is create 2 handicap accessible parking spaces and an accessible ramp to the grade change from the parking lot to the facility. So we need that by code 125. So spaces, so you got 29, so you need 2. So there's your 2 spaces, there's your ramp. 3 of the spaces, 3 tap partners, right? They go in the garage and everybody else park everywhere else. So that's kind of where we are with parking. Talked about the signage. In the back, you can see the pool. There were some questions about what would happen. There's really no place for a pool with the law firm, so that would get filled in, and we would cut back the pavers and return that to lawn. That's what would happen there. The rest of the facility, the perimeter vegetation, the lawn area, everything else would remain the same. The big removals are, there's a center area here with some trees in it, and then there's a fountain that's just doesn't really work. I don't even know how you pull in the garage with that. So really this is concept, open for discussion and really looking forward for comments and opportunity to go to public hearing.
Yeah, just as far as, like hours of operation, that's 8:30 to 5, Monday to Friday. There's no weekend or evening hours. So it's typical, office hours of operation.
And then lighting, we didn't do a photometrics plan. Once we finalize the lighting plan, we'd come up with a couple of fixtures that would be to illuminate the parking lot. We're not looking to overlight it, but we would do so.
Parking that you have delineated on your map is intended, is that in place now, or is that something that you're gonna be creating?
This is a proposed parking lot. Right now, there's a landscape island here, and there's a fountain here. The fountain here makes it very difficult to get into the garage, and the turnaround area, it's only about 6 or 8 feet wide. So the client's he's uncomfortable with plowing a narrow driveway. He wanted to expand it. So he wanted to expand the parking to be town compliant. As a landscape architect, what I would propose or recommend, if you're open to it, is needs-based parking. If we can work on reducing the parking, then we'd have less asphalt. If you'd be open to that.
My thought is, this is a personal injury law firm. You're not gonna need as much space as you are thinking you're gonna need, and I have no problem, I'm only speaking for myself, but I have no problem with the banking parking.
Thank you. That's,
That way you would have
Yeah.
less asphalt, and,
Yeah,
it's better for drainage.
no, that's a great comment. I mean, I think for the initial submission, we wanted to show that we could meet the code
Want to show
requirement
compliance.
for parking, but we're open to that.
I think it's very important to retain these curbside parking with the curb and the ramp for egress here. And I think it's important, to have the ability to use this. Where it gets a little tricky is I think I'd like to, at the bare minimum, dash in this back road. The owner does feel it's important, Botar Law, to take, I hate to say as landscape architect, there's some beautiful trees here, but taking these trees out allows us to put a sidewalk in, parking spaces, and to get in and out of those spaces. That's why I point this out, that this is important, because right now, this is just asphalt right up to the building, and it's not very pedestrian friendly. So we want to pull the curb over, put these in, and if we came back, what we would do is we'd probably move, I'd take out this row of parking, I'd land bank it and move this over, and I'd recommend 15 to 20 spaces, or what the owner needs. We would put forth what the owner needs.
Okay, you're making an affirmative representation, and you're not at any point gonna be pulling over to drink that.
No, that's not our intent, is to leave the drive the way it is. I just said what DOT would state, having worked with them, I would.
Yeah, there's no interest in changing the access at all. It works.
Okay.
Project.
I'm gonna open this up to the board for questions.
I have one quick question. You mentioned 15 employees, but everything that we were sent over says 8.
You
Like
say,
in the aqua and then
Oh.
also in the traffic study, it was all done for 8 employees.
okay, to double check that. Do you know that offhand? Mike?
Yeah, we'll double check that.
I think they have 8 attorneys listed on their,
Yeah, I think it was full time. We can double check on that.
I have one question.
Aaron, please. go ahead.
Seeker, so, that it's a permitted use, is that by a special permit, because no one's living there?
It's an allowed use
Okay.
because it's such.
Because they'll make it, it's on.
Is it all right?
Right.
Obviously, I appreciate the opportunity to reduce the parking, and I know that your next version will show the lighting and all of that. Would you be considering period style lighting? Just out of curiosity.
I think it's, I would love to do that. We will talk to the client. He seems pretty reasonable.
Is this a historic registered building?
No, it's not.
No, but it has a traditional look, and if you look at the,
The signage stuff looks really good.
yeah,
As far as the signage goes, I would suggest, considering with the entrance sign to show the word entrance on the east and, westbound sides as well as the side directly facing the street, so that as people are driving to it, they'll see it. 'Cause it's only on the roadside, they might not see it as easily or in time. Because it's not where you'd expect it to be, the entrance.
Right, exactly. Yep.
yeah.
Those are the only questions that I have.
And
Okay.
just to get back to the, I think the number of employees is important and should be adequately shown. We basically did our parking calculation based on an area of office 1 for 300, so that's how we came up with it. That's what's required by code. We'll come back with a needs-based block and we'll confirm how many spaces there are. We're not trying to get away, go down to the bare minimum where it doesn't work. We have the room, but we will put an accurate number on there.
Okay.
I
Valerie?
Yeah, I had a couple other questions. On the, short form EAF, it says that electric and everything is up to standards and stuff, and this being an older building as a residence, is that accurate, or will the electrical be updated, and is it energy efficient and heat and everything like that in there? Because it does say yes to the question, I just wondered if you could back that up.
We'll have to talk to the owner on that one.
Yeah, we can talk to the owner. I know he's working with like an internal architect and we can
Okay,
find that answer out, I'm sure.
Yeah, they have to do some space planning, so they gotta
yeah,
get the right, they're gonna be running, computers and
right,
projectors,
so there'll be
so.
obviously potentially more energy used, but
Yeah, we get a summary, we'll get a summary on
Okay.
that. Electric.
And I guess my other question kind of related to that is, it said that there would be, in the documentation to Aqua, it says that there would be no anticipated increased use of water, or Aqua. And I'm wondering, just kind of the justification for that, because of.
I guess if there was a family, like if you had a pool running, and you had a
Yeah.
family taking showers and cooking, washing dishes, laundry, here you're gonna have more people,
Mhm.
but they're gonna be flushing toilets and washing hands and maybe a kitchenette. There's not
Okay,
there's no cooking, there's no, so.
Okay.
That's kind of the summary there.
and then, just about that sign on the actual building. I don't know, if Erin said that the signage looks okay, I just was kind of, it's just very big and there on the brick building that everyone has looked at for years and years. And it says that it will be LED illuminated, I'm just curious if there's a way to show us what the signage will look like when it is illuminated.
Yeah, we can.
Evening hours.
Yep, we can do something.
Yeah, we could.
I mean, everybody see this sign? I think it's kind of cool. It works
I
with,
mean, it
it's not,
blends a little bit, but
yeah.
it's still, yeah, so
Yeah, I mean, it's
I'm
not-
torn a little bit
Yeah.
on it personally.
but they did a nice job because it works right with the architecture. It's not a panel. But we
We can
can
get some
we
details
can
on
get
it.
a 3D image. One of my guys can.
Does this have to be sprinkled?
Oh, wow, Madam Eileen, I will check with the architecture what code requires. We are working with an architect to upgrade
Oh,
facility.
okay.
Yeah, we'll find that out.
So it'll all be, they'll take care of it.
Yeah, we'll check.
Jamie, is it correct that there's signs on the building? I was looking in the code and they have to have a building permit.
Well, we like to approve them all as part of this if we can. That's usually what we do.
Okay.
Yeah, for this part of site plan.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm just, get away from the sign, it's LED lighted. It's perforated. The holes, right?
Well,
Letters,
We'll have to get more details on the sign, so I don't know if it says.
Yeah,
that.
it says LED illuminated channel letters with perforated vinyl black copy.
it sounds a little like Halloween, I'm trying to picture it.
We'll get some
We'll
samples.
get
Okay.
more
Yeah, I
of
know
a
what
mock-up
you're
of it.
saying.
Yeah,
It's a lake break or something.
Yeah.
yeah. we'll get- Yeah, I can assure you that this applicant has no interest in not making it look nice, so we'll definitely get more details on that.
Do we want to come in concept, tighten it up? Back.
I'm not hearing any other questions. I think I'd like to get public input on this.
That'd be great.
So I'd like to schedule it for a public hearing. Question is, are you gonna be able to get some revised plans to us prior to the public hearing? Public hearing would at this point be January the 8th.
Yes. We'll be ready.
Okay. And then it would reflect more information about lighting. You'd provide us more information about the lighting on the sign and parking.
Yep.
And I think that's best for our ecology as well, and
Okay.
all the way around. Entertain a motion to schedule a public hearing on January 8th. Motion by Judy, second by Aaron, all in favor? Aye. Yeah, January the 8th.
Thank you.
Okay. So for the even, we wouldn't do anything, if we went a little over, we can talk about. Yeah, okay. They got three votes. This is actually, yeah, okay. Yes, that's reasonable. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to lend that. You want to steer the client that way. We don't want to do 30 spaces.
And nor do we. The next item on our agenda, we're going backwards. This is Danielle and Ryan Ewert. This is their fourth presentation for site plan, subdivision, and special use permit for Foss's Doggy Daycare located at district number 991-27.4.
Good evening, sir. Good evening. I apologize for being late. North of here on the freeway, it's snowing pretty good.
Well, we didn't wait for it.
I saw that. I dealt with that. Okay. I appreciate that. Okay, so quick thing. I know I got all the drawings into you for 3 days and stuff like that. And we were talking about Ryan's garage here. And there was gonna have to be offsets and we were probably gonna have to go for variance for the offsets. However, talked to the clients, they've been out of town. And after a couple of discussions, they decided they don't want to go for a variance because we've been with the ZBA before and they didn't feel they were treated fairly or justly in there. So they don't want to go through that again and possibly get turned down. So I know this throws a curve. But this is a modification to the okay. Would you give the offsets for his garage, meet the standards? And as a result of doing that, the building that was in the submittal package that you received, the building has been pulled down closer to the road, it's still 67 feet off the road. but it was pulled down closer to give the 40 for the garage and behind the building for rear setback. So basically, before we had one in and out, down by the building itself, we're showing them we'll pull in, come around, and then they'll pull back out. So it'll almost be sort of like a loop action in that as opposed to just one single point of ingress and egress. Like I said, we're maintaining our setbacks here and off to the side. This is a little bit odd doing this. We had to get our 40,000 square feet and there's really nothing else we have for options. So we're showing approximately 25 foot across and about 40 across the back there to get the 40,000. So everything else is standard. Originally, we started over here. Now we're down here closer to the road. Any questions, comments?
Separation between the two.
I do have some comments and questions, but I think that you guys should talk about what you're thinking first.
Go ahead.
You want me to go ahead?
Yes.
I have to say, I'm not a fan of this change that you made in the angled bit on the back to get the square footage. I'm not sure if that's allowed. I don't know.
No, it is a lot. I talked to the surveyor and he said you could have 5,000 bends and curves.
It's
That's
just,
really not, but we really can't do anything with the garage. To relocate the garage is an additional $57,000.
and I didn't think there was a problem with the first drawing, and I understand that, you know, the applicant might have feelings about things, but I don't know if there isn't something, I don't know how, if there isn't another way to deal with that. But, the comments that I'll make are, you know, first on the drawing that was submitted, and one of them is kind of, I had a comment about if the setbacks in the existing building were gonna be a problem, but it sounds like we kind of been working through that, but the entrance, so there's a proposed covered entrance shown, and it's shown on the drawings as coming out 8 foot by 8 foot.
Covered it. Oh, you
Yeah.
this here?
And so the footprint on the site plan, and I'm looking at P2 blow up, it's a little bit easier.
Right.
But, when you look at the floor plan on S1, it shows an outdoor roof of 8 by 8 coming off the face of the building on the south side, and that's not really reflected on the footprint on the site plan. And so if you look 8 foot off that front of the face of the building, it juts out into the existing pavement.
Right,
Pavement
but-
quite a bit.
If I can just interrupt, I apologize. What was here originally, this building, so we can do 40, it's been reconfigured a little bit. I don't have that with me, my apologies.
Oh, the footprint is different?
Oh, no, wait a minute, what you got there is good, we just moved it down, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine, I see
Okay.
that you just shifted the whole thing.
Yeah.
But, so it's sticking out into the proposed drive lane, by several feet, and I get worried that that could get hit by cars as they're pulling in and out and dropping off. But I also noticed that, you know, the loop that you're showing, the part that's coming along in front of the building is 26 foot wide, which is indicative of a two-way access.
Oh, through here,
No, right up here,
here,
so, right here. This is sticking out from the building into the driveway, and this is 26 feet, so
Right.
you probably don't need that much if it's only one way, and I'm wondering if there isn't a way to prevent that from being a potential hazard of getting hit and
Well,
reduce your
to be honest with you, we take that and short, that wouldn't be a problem.
yeah,
I mean, it's more or less for the way the roof's gonna be pitched,
sure.
stopping the rain, so I mean, I can
Well,
shorten it.
people
still
wanna
have-
come in and
Yeah,
get out of the water,
yeah, so
whatever.
I can shorten that up, so we just as far as the time.
You know, maybe this comes out or something, but I just feel like there could be that could be tidied up a little bit, or, you know, are the dogs, and this is a really strange question, maybe not, but, like, do they need a spot, like, when they get out of their car and before they go in the building, do dogs like have to go to the bathroom right away? Like, do you need a spot for them, like, right outside the building?
There's gonna be, it's gonna be a lot of grass area, so if they have to go to the bathroom, they can do it there and we can pick it up.
It was just more like pedestrian vehicle conflict during drop off time and pickup time, 'cause that sounds like that's your busy time, right?
I guess, I mean, I know that the vet next door to us just uses their front yard before the dogs go into the vet. You know, we've gone over there before and they just go to the bathroom like in the
So-
front.
If we have grass.
So if we have grass, like a grass area that where you're like.
So that might kind of take care of incorporating that into the area where you can bump out in front of
We
the
just
building.
pull the whole
I
thing
would
out.
love as much grass as possible.
Yeah, so I don't think you need that 26 foot of asphalt.
Okay, and you're right, that was originally thought of if somebody was trying to come back out, but they're not going to now, so I appreciate
Exactly.
the.
It's a one-way.
but-
Yeah.
No problem, sure.
We have no problem with that, like that's something that would be great.
Now, I think we talked in the biggest one, and this is my not understanding the procedure on the but are signs always done as part of the separate, are signs done as part of the project, or they have a separate sign process?
James,
Go ahead, sorry.
Are signs always done as part of the project?
We like to have them done as a project.
No, most of that.
Right, it's just a separate sign application and then separate.
So,
That's the first I couldn't do.
I see that there's lighting and all of that included on your sign that you're proposing, your monument
Right,
sign out by the road.
Yep.
And I don't know how that falls within the character of the neighborhood, if there are any other lighted monument signs. I think that, that's something that we should consider.
Mhm.
It's just keeping in character because it is a predominantly residential area.
Right.
But I think that it's important to have lighting because a lot of people this time of year are gonna be picking up their dogs in the dark.
yeah,
And
it's dark like 4:30.
dog gets loose and starts running around the parking lot, you don't wanna worry.
And that's like maybe like just two lights shining up onto it off the ground, just add it, just
Yeah, I think it's just a general question to put forth, that what are we, what is the character of that section of the road like now? And how do we wanna see that going forward? But I
Now,
agree
if I
that
could
for
just-
safety, it's important.
I totally agree with that, but keeping that in mind, last time you had stated that for us to consider maybe a couple of light poles in the parking lot.
Absolutely,
Okay, so we've incorporated, that's
and I see that
incorporated.
you did that,
Yeah,
and
okay.
those can be, cutoffs and
Well,
all that
it'd
kind of
be,
stuff.
and it'd be short, yeah.
I think
definitely.
it's important because of the use in the evenings and stuff, and
right.
it's not a shopping center parking lot, it's
Right.
just enough for people to see and feel safe and get their,
No, totally agree.
The grading plan is pretty minimal, and I don't think that it's a huge problem, but Doug, what's the requirement? If it doesn't require a SWIP, do we require a drainage report for like 10,000 square foot of disturbance?
We've often asked for that, yes.
So I think considering the fact that a large area to the east, if you look at the contours, and it's not shown on your plan there, but.
Over here,
No, to the other side, all of that water kind of drains down, and these are 2 foot contours.
yeah, it goes sort of like.
So we get on P3, you see all of it, and all of that water kind of sheds down into this area, and then based on driving through, kind of, I think, funnels to the north,
It goes
and the vet
this way
is
and goes
higher,
back.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so this area, making sure that this could concentrate some of those flows a little bit, and I'm curious as to what our engineer suggests.
I can talk to Doug and see what he'd like to see in the report and then definitely give one
Yeah.
addressing that.
Might just be a matter of providing some more spot grades, or,
Yeah,
because these are just
or
two
maybe,
contours.
or maybe just a shallow swale to make sure the direction is going.
And then also, if you do that, make sure that, it's not discharging concentrated flow
Right.
onto a neighboring, property,
Right.
even though it might be wooded now, it might not be.
In the
So,
future, right.
I would ask that to take a look at that. Of course, that's something you can,
Yeah, right. I think what Joe just handed out is totally different than what you're looking at.
Yeah.
just a couple quick things, there's no grading, so.
A couple
No,
quick
but,
detail notes.
sorry, just
Go
for a
ahead.
second. So since this was moved up, 40 feet, okay? So what he's saying is these spot grades here, it sort of does this. It doesn't
Yeah.
make it to the property of the thing. I mean, I understand what you're doing, we'll do a report.
You're still
But
gonna have all that
before,
easement up
it was
front.
almost going through the building. Now it's going to the east of the building because the building's been moved down further.
Right,
But I'll still address that.
and with the new layout that you're showing, I know why you did it, and I understand, but I have to say, I'm not a fan of the way the parking is split to the back, and there's some in the front like that.
Well, the back is for if Danielle and them, like in the winter time, want to just drive over, because they're gonna be the ones working there. So I mean, we're not really planning on,
I know,
this is more or less
I
gonna be the customers or clients in the front.
I guess I'll let other people chime in on
It could
this,
be,
but
it could be grass back there. It could be grass.
it's not that, it's that I almost don't know that 3 spots is enough.
How many people are gonna work?
But I think it was on the last
For
set,
your,
right
if you
there.
have 3
See where they did
employees,
the code
we're,
assessment?
Two of us live there,
Already got one
and then my
right
daughter. So we'll just walk over
sure,
there,
but,
tomorrow.
right there, Jamie.
with drop offs and
On the
pickups,
right-hand side.
I just don't know that,
Are they doing the code
I don't know
assessment?
much about that type of business either.
I did
But
those
I
notes
hate to
for
see for there to be a congestion with the landscaping business coming and going too. I mean, I know that you have a pretty strict set schedule
If
and
they don't come,
Tell her how many people work
I'll
there,
come and go for landscape.
how many vehicles you have going in.
I have 4 employees. One lives with me, plus me, and then 2 others. And then generally, we leave at 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, come back at 5:30 in the afternoon. 3 trucks. We do have 4 trucks in the company, but 3 trucks go out during the season. So they generally leave and may come back at noon, but for the most part, they're gone most of the day.
I know parts of our house.
it's not really about you guys and your routine, because I'm really familiar with the area and coming and going.
As far as-
The
as far as-
customers coming.
As far as customers for the dog daycare would be, there'll be 3 different times. There'll be a morning drop off. And then if you're a part-time customer, they'll come back between, I think we said between,
Yeah, this is the.
12 and 1,
Oh, like a half day.
like a half
Yeah,
day.
okay.
So if you're picking up, you have to pick up, or if you're dropping off, you have to drop off in that time period. And then the pickup would be, 5 to 6:30.
Like a whole
So
day.
it's like,
Is there a limit to how many dogs you have there?
we haven't gotten that far. But we do know there's only gonna be, three times that you can come in, morning, midday, and then afternoon.
So there's 10 spots in the building, right?
Maybe
60.
The individual suites.
We just wanted to put those in case,
in case like a dog is like, isn't feeling well or needs like to rest or take a break or something, they're just like
Yeah.
separated areas that are pretty common for places to have, so they can be like, they're
Nine.
not doing
Right,
well.
nine. For the most part, it's gonna be all open area, inside and out. We just had those in case, like, there was
Oh,
a
sure.
older dog or something, but
No,
that doesn't
I get
have to,
that.
no, that doesn't have to be the number.
But I guess it just kind of makes the question come up of what is your anticipated capacity? And for that question only to be based on what the traffic needs and the drop off and pickup times might be, because those are some concentrated times and with only 3 a handicap spot too, with only 3 parking spots that you're expecting your customers to use.
That might make it like maybe like 15 to 20 dogs, smaller dogs.
I don't feel like 3 spaces is enough
For what?
for your drop off and pick up.
Oh, for drop off and pick up, we're hoping that with the loop around, people can stop, drop off and go.
Well, then that would impact reducing, that's a different kind of parking space. You need to denote that on your pavement and striping. We can't just be like, oh, they'll pull up in front of the building. We need to see that as a striped
Yeah, well,
spot. and that gets it.
can we make more parking?
I did that on a previous one, but
Yeah.
that gets it tight doing, trying to go around, because I actually figured.
I mean, we're open to anything that you guys, want, we're just trying to limit the amount of like asphalt, that's there, we don't need it.
Yeah, I do think though, that you probably do need a couple more spaces based on what
Does
I'm
it have to
hearing.
be, but does it have to be asphalt or could it be stone or grass?
It's not about the asphalt, it's about the amount of spaces and the fact that when you shifted the whole building forward, you ended up putting some in the back. And I don't think that those are gonna be as useful for your
Right.
drop off and pickup, which is, if you're
Right.
expecting to have, say,
I
10
don't know why
dogs.
they can't be on the side, yeah, on the outside.
Well, here's a question, maybe we're going.
You got where I'm going.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I think, parking in the rear is better for residential area and then to have all parking out front.
For the drop off and pickup. It is, but will people, I guess if they're repeat business, then they'll
Have it doing that, they'll know where they got.
they'll know. That makes a lot of sense. I see that.
Less congested too.
I like that. That makes sense. Then they'll need to have a good way of getting into the building.
We've tried on, many of our projects, to try to get rear parking to better maintain the residential character of the neighborhood.
That makes sense then.
There is a overhead door on the back of the building. That can be changed to an overhead plus a man door for entrance, so they can enter the back, they can enter the front.
Well, I agree completely, and that changes the perspective entirely, so.
Oh, well, we want to address whatever you got.
No, I just-
concerns, yeah.
But with the idea that, because I don't know much about this type of use, so people give a lot of
I mean, it's
reason.
a quick drop off. I mean, I take my dog to daycare. Maybe I'll take it to your daycare. But you're literally in there maybe 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, because usually the help takes the dog and then, bye, you're off to work, so
Right.
it's not,
Nobody really wants to
Nobody's
stay, chat,
staying
and try to get to
around.
work, get their dog, like, out and go.
yeah, so it's really quick.
That's
A
like we,
quick drop off, quick pickup.
we take ours to a groomer, the same thing. Once we go in the door, the girl comes out, like, oh, hi, Oliver, and gone. And we're back out the door. So maybe what, 2 or 3 minutes of
Yeah,
that. That's it, yeah.
What's the size of your building, square footage? I don't see them.
It is, well, on yours,
On P2, it showed as 60 by 40.
yeah,
Is
so
it
you're
still-
2,400, yeah.
Okay.
Jamie, the building you got there in front of you
Yeah,
is the same as this. I just took it and moved it.
okay.
So everything on the building, the layout, everything is the same.
Every time you come in front of us, you're getting closer and closer to where you need to be.
I enjoy coming.
But it's my thought and opinion that the form of the lot is much too irregular. I think you'd be in a better position to have a lot more usable and I know you are telling us you need to go back to the zoning board of appeals for variance for the size of the lot. But
Well, no, it would be offset for the garage. That's what we'd be going back for.
No, if you do this, let's just say, this plan would be a bulk regulation, like a square footage.
It's 40,000.
If you do that wacky,
Well, this is 40 and the one you got in the submission package is 40.
right, the one you just brought today.
we understand that, we understand that.
Oh, I thought you meant-
We're hoping you are understanding that this is such an irregular shape. This is something we've not encountered before. I don't know that we've ever approved anything so irregular. And I think this board might be in a position, if you went in front of the zoning board of appeals for a variance on the size, the square footage of the lot, that we might even make a favorable recommendation to them that,
If I could speak just myself, not for my clients. When we went to the ZBA, initially, we were going for the 5-foot shorter distance on the front. And we were sort of told, not guaranteed, we were sort of told, this should be in and out for that, and then we'll get into the site plan. When we got there, this whole thing turned into a site plan review in the ZBA. And I brought that up several times saying, you can't do this, it's gotta be just for the variance for the frontage. And it would get in site plan, they're saying, what are we gonna do if they put a trailer park back here? We gotta stop them from doing that. The ZBA was going for any future use you can get. They shot us down so fast, but me personally, as an engineer, nothing that was discussed was what should be in the ZBA thing. They were doing full site plan review and using that against us.
I mean, say if you do go to them and they deny it, then what? Then we're left with nothing, right?
then you can have a problem, yeah.
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 Depends on what this board wants to do.
So I mean, I mean, it's not ideal for us either, but we're trying to, go by what the regulations are and.
So our options were to go to the ZBA. Ryan moves building, which I said we did a rough price thing, and it's about 82,000 to tear it down and move it. So it's an additional,
That makes sense.
and then the other thing is, I don't care for this either, I know it's
To
abnormal.
cut a building that's already existing to fix it.
I just thought you said 57,000.
Well, no, that's just the building price itself, but you're gonna do a concrete pad, you're gonna do everything else. And so that would be that, and that's the other option. This, I'm not crazy about this. I even asked the surveyor, I said, is that something you've seen done? And he goes, you can divide however you want to. He said, there's nothing saying you can't. But he says, you're kind of
Well,
cornered into where we
The only
are.
thing that says you can't would be the planning board who is in charge of a reasonable development plan, right? So if you can do any number of, do any number of things, whether it's squared off here, like is that a reasonable development plan? I hear Joe saying he doesn't think so. I don't know what anyone else here.
I think I'd like to hear from the board members.
I mean, would the zoning board say, is there any other thing that you can do without doing this? Yeah, doing the miss portion.
This is just, something doesn't sit right, I don't like it.
Did you have as much, if that wasn't there?
Right, and my brain is still thinking about the parking business, right? And I don't like the divided parking like this still, but what if you pull the building all the way to the front to your 40-foot envelope? That's 20 foot forward and moved all of the parking to the back. What if we completely took that and ran with it?
But that's not gonna change any of that.
It doesn't, but I just had to get that out.
But that kind of takes away from where the dogs are gonna play outside.
But they don't play outside.
Oh, there's an
outdoor, like, area.
yes,
Oh, well, it was.
Oh, I thought it was just
full
that strip.
there's a fence, there's gonna be outdoor fencing.
Yeah.
I thought, no,
No,
we
no,
were
no,
told
we were
the
told
fence
it's a
is
strip,
screening
like just
only.
a-
Yes, we're gonna put a privacy fence up for screening only, but then we're gonna have a chain link outdoor area for dogs and all
Right.
doggy
But that's
daycare.
It's on the
completely
back.
different.
That's
than
on the back of the
what
building, off their, they were above.
Yeah, see on the back of the building.
That's his part.
That's never been shown on a plan.
Yeah, that's his part.
That's part of the building. We
Yeah.
knew that, yeah. But that's not anything, I mean,
That's how they.
She's saying that's where they would go to be outside, that's. what
yeah,
she said.
that bump out on the back of the
Well, we
building.
haven't gotten far enough for anybody to like tell us, like, we're trying to figure out where we're gonna put the building, but there's gonna be an outdoor area for dogs to be able to go outside. That's what the big complaint was about, where we wanted it in the initial part of behind the Emmons house, because they don't wanna put dogs outside. And then we made an outdoor area for them, a fenced in area on the outside for them to play.
That's actually not shown on the floor plan. So I think we.
This
back up a minute.
This area here is the outdoor portion.
Well, that's not how it's represented on the drawing, and I'm not scaling it all up right now to clear it up, but it sounds like we have some pretty big confusion.
So the outdoor area is attached to the building, we have that solid line.
Yes.
Okay,
And no other outdoor play area for dogs.
Is that accurate?
What was that?
I wanna make sure that
Yeah.
it's what you're wanting.
Off the back of the building,
Yes,
there's gonna be a fenced in area.
Yes.
That they can go from their little suites to the outside.
yeah,
back
from
there.
the building.
But there's not
to the
gonna be a
outside.
separate fenced in area someplace else, the problem.
No.
So Danielle, is
Yeah.
it that strip that we're seeing on the gray strip
Yes,
along
sir.
the back of the building is what you're thinking is an outdoor play area?
Yeah, wherever the area is in the back that there's grass,
It's
we'd like
8
to
foot
put.
wide.
Well,
Like,
no,
this is
that's,
just-
no, that's not what she's.
this
Yeah,
is just,
not-
this is the thing that goes off the back of the building.
What is that?
That's where they're gonna be at, that's gonna be an enclosed area, but they're saying they're not gonna do all this for them to just run.
No, we're gonna put a fence in on the side for them to be an area for them to like play
What they're
outside.
gonna be in here, that's the outside.
Didn't you have private suites where they can go out?
No, they're not gonna go out.
They're not gonna go
They're
out, that's the inside.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
they're
it's
gonna
all
want-
one fenced in areas.
We're gonna have one fencing area from it, so they can go from the building to the outside area. We're gonna have another fence where they can run out and play, like where you go, I'm sure they have an outdoor area.
No.
No, none of that is shown on the drawing. It sounds like there's some confusion between you guys, because
I don't understand these pictures up here,
There's gonna be one entrance out. There's not gonna be suites. There's gonna be no suite entrances, one entrance out.
Okay, well, still,
Yeah.
it's gonna be right connected to the building in this
well,
area.
that's part of your building footprint, I did just scale
Yeah.
it, so that part is part of your 40-foot dimension, which is shown on your floor plan, which shows the 40-foot dimension, including the little interior suites, right? So if you're proposing an outdoor fenced-in play area, we can see that on the drawings.
Okay,
okay?
Because that's a big difference, right?
That would be where the person.
Oh, it's a big difference for the community.
Oh, right.
And we need to understand how that works with the circulation and where all that falls. And, you know, I don't think it's unreasonable to suggest that you might wanna do that, but, you know, in looking at that, you might wanna consider, you know, what I'm suggesting and looking at how your parking goes, and if you pull that building all the way to the front of your envelope and you have all that concentrated in the back, what does that mean for your floor plan and your pedestrian access in and out of the building? Do you just have a front and then your overhang and your entrance is in the back? I mean, I'm not saying you should do it, I'm just saying,
no, I understand.
blow it up.
Yeah, no, we'll take a look at that.
I said that.
So, one of the things when we were looking at this plan is where the garage was here. My concern and the concern of the small group that was looking at it was that you're not then using the garage appropriately as an accessory use to the home, which is what that is being approved. So this plan appears to solve that.
The recent one.
So, so this, because you can't literally get in the garage
And the old plan.
and the, on the old
On the
plan,
submission, yeah.
right? So I can't see that ever being approved with those kind of setbacks. Because it doesn't, because it's not, now all of a sudden you have a use, an accessory use that you're using through other property.
Mhm.
So that's why this board needs to look at what are you doing? So in this new plan appears to, can you show, you know, there was that road view we were looking at. But to use the accessory use. So you're gonna come in through this property, which I think the problem is just because it's supposed to be accessory to the home. But you want to at least make it so that it can be accessory to the home, because that's what's gonna be approved.
Well, that one to the right is the one that goes to the home. Over there. That's the drive that goes up to the.
Right. But this is what I'm looking at right here, it's down here. Right,
That's across from the other side.
is that what I'm looking
Yeah,
at?
back behind the tree, yes. That's
Right.
probably it.
Right, so what I'm saying is, now you're going across a whole different property, and you're not really accessory to the home. Whether the board approves that, you know, that's up to them, but I think at least you have to show that it's accessory way up here. Right, because it's gotta be accessory to the home use.
So right here.
So this is their property. But they could do this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, now this plan makes that possible.
Right, yes, right. Okay.
And, you know, and I think some of the site plan issues we have to work on, because the thought is that this is a separate lot, it's a separate use, it can be sold off.
Mhm.
And so that's what this board needs to think about, you know, that this can operate independently, and that this accessory use operates independently. So at least this makes that feasible. Whether, anyway, that was a thought process, so in that respect, I think that's good. We have a problem, I know, with the square footage. I've been doing this for I care to admit, I've never ever seen a configuration like that on subdivision.
No. And it's not that we just thrown out, but it's like, where else can we take room? We
Well,
can't cut down the front here. We can't do anything with the front, because you have to have the frontage over here. So and that's
right,
to gain the 40. You know,
right,
it's a-
I get that. But it doesn't seem like a very prudent, plan, you know, this is a planning board, it doesn't seem like a very prudent plan. And I, you know, I, even now, like, you're gonna propose this line here, but whatever's going on here, gravel and stuff, you know, is this board gonna say, well, you have to plant that in, because you shouldn't be using this use on that
Yeah, no,
property,
no,
right? So those are all
it's
site
a
plan
respect
issues.
for a different piece of property, yeah, totally.
Exactly,
Yeah.
so this solves it. I understand there's an issue with the ZBA, that is perceived.
I know that when we bought our property is like in an L shape, when our original property, we have property behind the Emmons and the house behind, and the house next to them. So our original property that we bought from Starkey Lombardi was like, had property behind two houses, it was in L shape.
Yeah, but I've already said, I'm agreeing with her.
I mean,
Well, I'm agreeing with you.
to go back to what you have in the submission package. Okay, and the building being back and all that kind of stuff was the desired way. But then we saw, yep, you had 4.5 feet here, 4.5 feet there, we're gonna go back to ZBA. And what happened last time?
This plan would never even be approved before this board, because you're gonna be using the doggy daycare parcel to get in that garage, right?
Well, with a cross-access easement.
Yeah, but that's not something that this board is approving a separate use on this parcel, and then you're gonna go easement, easements here, easements there, this solves it.
Solves a lot.
Mhm.
And I'm disappointed that you had such a hard time in front of the zoning board. of
Well, I'm not
appeals.
throwing anybody on the bus, but it was
No,
not
I
what we
understand
expected to
that.
put in there.
But this board is capable, if it so chooses, to make a favorable recommendation to the zoning board of appeals. And if it comes across, we're unanimously in agreement that they should approve the reduced lot coverage in order to qualify for this. And we would be disappointed if they didn't listen to us.
I'm disappointed it doesn't give us an approval. That's the problem.
What are we What are we able to proposing? suggest? Yeah, what are we proposing the lot coverage would look like?
Chop off, keep it as the proposed part and cut off
The back
the
end or
back
just
The back
tail, just the tail, but leave the long skinny piece.
Plus.
The north-south long skinny piece, or the east-west back part, or both.
Yeah, that's my question.
That's a very good question. I mean, if we're gonna be actually correct about it, we would go right across and remove this, both of the skinny parts.
That's
So-
what I'm thinking.
Along the
Percent-
sideline across the back.
Well, I don't know the calculation at hand, do you?
What kind of
Well,
a
what this
percent
would be?
reduction would
Yeah,
that be?
This turns out to be, give or take, comes out to be about 30,000 square feet. We need 40.
You need 40.
And we need
So-
40,
Yeah,
so they're
that's why we extended it out.
And that's why they did it.
3/4 of the way there.
Yep.
Now, I'm not uncomfortable with that, because it's not like you're asking to do a 1/10 of an acre.
Right.
But that's just my opinion. I think it makes for a far neater thing, but what precedent is that setting for other areas in this RM zone?
Well,
And when we
remember-
look at the comprehensive plan.
The zoning board needs to look at each thing individually. The ZBA doesn't set precedent. It's supposed to look at the particulars of the project. So I don't think we need to worry so much about precedent. Because it's all, why is this unique? Why can we do it this way? Why does this work? And certainly there's been, I think a lot of what the zoning board was concerned about was the configuration that brought that road,
Of the previous rendition.
the previous.
But if I
I
may,
will go back and watch the video.
I think.
if I may, the
Also
one thing that caught me is at the end, they went through each person asking, how do you want to vote on this, right? And somebody was in there, that's when we were still talking about doing a septic system.
Yeah.
The person stood up and commented that the septic system is not gonna contain that, we're gonna flush out the dog poop down at the end of the day, which is not going to, it's gonna start popping out of the raised bed. And one of the people on the board said, you can't have dog poop on the ground. She said, I say we don't approve them. That has nothing to do with the 5 feet. But all the ones that came through, that was all their concern. Was there gonna be a trailer park there? It would have to come through you guys. Is dog poop gonna come out of the raised bed? It doesn't work that way. But that's what each person said. For that reason, I say, no, we don't do it. So that's why I'm afraid of going back again.
Well, the interesting thing is that the smaller lot confines what could actually ever go there as well, in some respects. Because it's so big, right? The other one there were concerns.
Oh, yeah, and it was flag lot and all that.
Yeah, that had its, yeah. I mean, your determination to get what you want done and continuing to be willing to brainstorm and work on these things and come back is really great, because it helps us all with an unusual situation like this, work through stuff in order to come out with the best solution for the community ultimately. So, I think that that's a good thing.
I'm just nervous going in front of the ZBA and being like, no, you can't do it, and now we're like,
I don't have any ability to have an opinion on that.
But if they did say no to this, okay, could we not then come back and go for a different lot layout?
We could, but before we do that, I'd like to get a general consensus among this board, whether the board feels that they could approve something shaped as we have here, or whether they would not approve. Can we get a consensus from this board so that you know what we're doing?
Yeah,
Is it this one you're talking about?
Yes. One with it, with too narrow across the rear of the property and down the sideline, Can I get consensus from this board whether they would approve that or not?
I would not approve it.
2 noes,
Yeah.
3 noes, 4 noes, 5 noes. I think your best avenue is in fact the zoning board of appeals. And,
What is that,
Looking
what does
at-
that classify under as far as a form? Is it an
It's
area
It's
variance?
an area there.
it's an area, right, it's an area variance. And we could make a favorable recommendation. Is there anybody who would oppose a favorable recommendation to zoning board of appeals?
Or something less than 40,000.
Yes.
Yeah, it would be about 30.
I would say I don't have a problem with that, but do we have to have a better level of comfort of the access and the site plan layout before we do that? Because
You might want to.
we leave too many questions open to the zoning board, it could just create more problem. I'd rather see an updated plan that we make our recommendation on and send that as a unit over to the zoning board, rather than saying, well, we like this, but we wanna see these changes, if we don't want this, whatever, because that leaves too many open questions for them to ponder.
There's another thing here too. All this discussion seems to be focused around the $82,000 estimate. That might turn out in the long run to be a better move. Even though it's not-
It's, I can't tell the future, nobody can, but I would be shocked if we go into ZBA and they give us a variance from 20 feet down to 3 or 4 feet. Not the way we got treated last time.
Oh, I don't think, you mean this variance. I
Yeah,
don't think they would grant that,
Right.
because, but more for the reason that I talked about before, which is then you're using this
Access to you.
property for a purpose not intended, right?
Well, I mean, the only one thing I think maybe, I don't mean to stretch this up, if this line was back up there, okay? And they did come in, because there is an overhead door on this end too. I mean, they could go on that side, even though that line was up there. I mean, there's a way they could wiggle through there,
Not that.
but I am not confident at all that we can get anything from them on that.
I don't,
I'm expecting you were
Wiggling
here
through
before,
with-
we told you no,
with
we're telling you no
the
again.
truck and trailer and
It's a totally different thing, it's
Yeah.
totally different.
not quite what I think is what we wanna see.
What is,
Trying to squeeze through if they did put the line back up there.
we wouldn't be able to use that door
That
at
too.
all. We'd have to
The other
use a
side of
different
the building has.
door.
I have another question, and I think I asked it last time, but I still don't totally understand.
What's that?
I'm just trying to make sure as a board that we're not like the chicken before egg here, because we still have not approved a special permit or accessory permit for the current business in place. Correct?
Correct. Right.
I feel we need to do that first. It already exists. And it's not in compliance, correct?
Well, I was digging back through the previous
And so
submissions.
before we do this new one, I'm having a hard time being able to conceptualize and do this whole thing without that one first.
You mean the
But
special
that-
use permit for the landscaping business?
Yeah.
The one I
Or
pointed out.
accessory use or whatever it ends up being.
The only thing I would say about that, and again, maybe it's a straw vote situation, because if we approve it in a certain configuration, then he's gonna come in and change it all, right, because of this. So I think that's it is a difficult chicken and egg thing,
Yeah.
but
Because
It's
I just say
exactly-
that already, I guess, out of precedent for future projects and everything, that already exists and didn't come through the.
From what I could check, it came as a package. It came as, we are submitting this accessory use permit as well as our original plans. It all was in one. And it originally came before I was here, but I was trying to dig back and piece it together. And so it looks like that kind of got set to the side while we dug into the plans thing, and then we switched it over here or whatever. And that part's just been kind of leaking out.
Back to us.
See, I don't think we can go forward with a special use permit, accessory use until we determine whether we're gonna do approval of the site plan.
That makes sense.
And I'm not a member of the board, and I don't claim to be. When we came in originally, this was all gonna be on one parcel. And then during our presentation, whatever it was, it would be best if a subdivision line was drawn, so we'd have two separate things.
Well, it has to be.
Right, no, I'm not saying that, but then I thought, and I can be wrong, that we were saying the whole thing would kind of roll concurrently with site plan structure use,
Mhm.
you know, the same thing.
And we've been doing that.
No, we have, yeah.
We're moving in that direction for the
Yeah.
special use permit and accessory use.
Right.
And at some point, I would like to get the input from the public,
Yes.
so that we know where we're headed.
How much square footage is in this back?
This here.
Well, it's nice.
Well, 240 by 33, I don't have my phone with me. So 240 by 33 divided by 43, well, I guess 240 by 33. Multiply that out.
Hold on, say the numbers again and I'll do
So
it.
240
Yeah,
times 33. No,
79.
scratch it, sorry, I apologize. 283
two
times
eighty-three
33.
times 33
Yeah.
is 9339,
So that's roughly 10,000 feet there. And then we got a strip here, so it's
which
maybe.
is
just
comparable. That's half. If we cut off both tails, that's half.
But Aaron, you did make a point about, like, there's some confusion about how this is all gonna work for the dogs and the fencing and stuff.
I
Can you clarify that?
yeah, from the back of the building, we like to have an outdoor area for the dogs to be able to play. I mean, any,
Right now, so it's showing that with parking, is that not your intent, or can you look at the plan?
Just for sake of argument, if we just shoot or squared it off a rectangle, we're just a little over 31,000 square feet. For just this.
Oh.
Yeah. The whole thing wasn't 40, it's like 41 and change, I think, but, so this is about 31, I think 200.
So, yes, we have, I don't think that the plan right now is clear enough on what, I think there might have been some confusion.
With the fence.
But
yeah.
also, like, to your point, if the edge of the pavement where it's gravel, the line just kind of ends. And so if you're parking there, you know, where's your edge of, you're showing an edge of asphalt next to the building. Where's the actual pavement edge that's going around behind the building? How does that coordinate with the area that you'd like to see fenced in
does it have to be pavement around the edge? It doesn't have to be pavement, right?
for parking?
Yeah.
It could be gravel, but they would be assumed as the same type of gravel or asphalt or concrete, whatever, hardscape.
Okay.
So, but the plans aren't representing that right now. So I think that, at least for me, in my opinion, I would like to see you come back with an updated plan.
Cause we would just
We're
have
just
like,
talking about.
yeah, we would have a chain link fence up in the back area for the, I know, you don't have it. The original,
That's it, everything.
what was that? Yeah, I know, it's probably not.
In what, right, like, in what back area, can you point to it on the plan that you?
So here is the dog
Mhm.
daycare area.
Yep.
So we would attach, this isn't like outdoor, this is like the inside of it. We would make a fenced in area around here where there's grass area, a fenced in area for the dogs to be able to run outside and play, have an area where they can like get their energy out and play. If we wouldn't take, obviously it would be all grass still, we wouldn't remove grass or anything like that. We'd like to leave it natural. We would just put a fenced area where they're able to get outside and play, because I think that's important for dogs to be able to get out and run and get their energy out. That's why, you know, people are getting their dogs out so they're stimulated and can get outside when the weather's.
I'm not opposed to that, but I think that's a public hearing type item.
But, you're including area that's currently shown as parking.
Yeah.
Where is the parking?
Yeah.
Oh, those lines are parking spots.
Yeah.
Right, well, I think we need to. Yeah.
Or we can like do it here, wherever there's a grass area, if we're gonna have parking there, then we can make like a door and a fence, so we would have to come to that. We always, we always intended to have an outdoor area. That was a big fuss about where we originally wanted it, up in the back area of our initial proposed.
Makes sense.
I think it's all possible, and it's just a matter of, you know, finessing your site plan, and you've got X amount of parking space needs, outdoor dog space, pedestrian access to both.
How many like parking spots do you guys like suggest? Do we need as many as it's
I'm
there?
not the best one to ask because I don't have any experience with this stuff.
I mean, you go,
Yeah, I mean, it's quick drop, you know, so I would say more than.
How many dogs are you gonna have?
it's a- like 15 to 20.
All right, I'm gonna write that down. So we have that, that it's 15 to 20. Because
So to
But
Aaron's
staggered,
point, though,
right? Staggered 15 to 20, so maybe dropping off 15 to 20 at 9 o'clock. And picking up.
Some might go in the
Yeah,
midday.
you said, yeah.
Yeah,
so
so,
one number, 15 to
so what
20.
Aaron's saying though, would we then have to go for a variance on parking spaces because we wouldn't be meeting the zoning regulations as far as parking spaces?
I think there's flexibility on this, on the special use permit.
Okay,
But the other thing is, and for the board to remember is, you've got a building. You want to have area where there can be parking that would accommodate another use that could go there in that building. Which we said was how many square feet?
the building, 24.
2,400.
2,400, and it's usually 200 on personal service type operations. So divided by 200
So-
spaces.
Yeah.
So if some other use eventually goes in there and they need that much parking,
Then
they probably can add some.
you could probably, if that happened, you could then probably go out back for parking. You wouldn't have the dog fence or anything else there.
Well, if you move the building as far forward to the front as you can, that leaves you a pretty wide open area in the back to configure things as you want to, and it's, a lot of it's already gravel.
Well, how, if it's moved really far forward, how does that comport with the rest of the neighborhood? That seems, that's not what we see
Yeah,
out
the
there.
vet is back a little
Yeah,
ways
better
from
be
the road.
set back, and there's beautiful.
the vet is very close to the road.
Are you gonna retain all this landscaping?
You can keep what's across the front by the road.
Yeah, I like to,
Yeah.
I'd actually like to clean it up and add more trees in front, like pine trees and stuff. Right now, there is brush and trees there. We actually,
You could include that on your revised submission.
Well,
That'd be
we have,
better.
say on there, we
That'd
do
be
have
better for you
hemlocks across here.
Yeah, we want to see as much information as possible, and it's hard, I know, when we're working through some of these things on a more nuts and bolts basis to think, to add all that level of detail and effort when you might be just changing it, and we do understand that, but I think that, like I said, I appreciate the continuing to come back.
No, contrary to maybe some other people, I think it's evolved quite a bit since day one and in a good direction, so.
I have a crazy question. Just thinking, it's probably not doable, but just out of curiosity, the garage that you currently have, the pole barn, there's no way that could be converted into a dog daycare building that you could then accessory use the landscaping back further on the property and it might work with setbacks?
We'd have to spend a lot of money converting the building, and then we'd have to build another structure for his business. And
He
I
needs a
think that would-
garage no matter
He
what.
needs a
Oh,
garage.
I understand that.
Yeah.
So I think, so that would be like double the money, and then we'd have
I'm just
more
curious if
problems.
it's expensive to move
Yeah.
it, that maybe it could be. I don't know.
Do you
The big-
think they
the
should
big
put the
problem is-
landscaping business
Yeah.
over on the other side?
Yeah, it just might give you more flexibility, I don't know.
Over here?
Have we
I'm
seen
just
any
playing.
elevations,
Just-
proposed elevations of the acre building?
Yeah, they're in the
Yeah,
back.
they're in the neighborhood.
Well, like what I talked about with the front porch, it's not leavable, I'm assuming those little like doors on the suites are just like windows.
I don't know if it's out there, if they were like eventually. Okay, I don't know. If we were thinking of, like, we want it to be back, like, it's not very good. So I think that's. So that's what, I think that was like in the future, if we ever wanted to, felt like, like say they had to go back there and they had to do more, but we don't need. So that would need to come off.
Alright, so I'll come on. Take it off.
So
Unless it's what you're proposing, and if it's what you're proposing, we'll react.
this is the furthest thing, I have no comment on this. I literally send it to the board, 'cause I am not an architect. I don't know what this looks like, and tell from looking at the drawings. I don't know what the materials are, that's something you should look at. It's a special use permit, it needs to be compatible with the neighborhood, so we need to look at whatever else is out there. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. I have no further comment, but that's up to this board.
I guess I feel like we haven't gotten that far yet.
But if we're saying where they're gonna have it, how, you know, how visible is it gonna be, that's all part of what needs to be looked at. Or is it all gonna be shielded by? You know?
Yeah. Well, we're here, we will need to see it formally, but
I
just
think we-
verbally, what are your
I think we
intentions?
did, right? Didn't we show both the RLS?
So it's gonna be metal. And then
You get tan,
with different colors on
they
it,
have a color.
like a
so it's-
wainscoting and then different color
Is
on
this a
top.
franchise?
No.
RLS?
No, you're coming,
Oh, no.
The walls are gonna be metal?
yeah, it's gonna be a metal building.
RLS is a pole barn manufacturer.
Oh, like Morton? Like Morton?
Yes. But local.
They're they're all towards Cato. On all through, right off 370 on
Very
southern
nice.
side of the
They're
road.
very nice. It's not like a metal shack or if you look them up, they're very nice.
So they make conditioned buildings too,
Condition.
like heated.
Well, they do the building,
The problem is.
and then you have somebody else come in and puts in the concrete and finishes off the
Is it
inside.
block?
No, it's
metal
metal, it's
cladding?
metal, no, it's metal. And then you spray foam insulate, and then you put a sheetrock on the inside. So just like your house, except the outside would be metal with ribs, whatever color you want in windows. Spray foam on the inside, there's 6x6 posts for support. And then a spray foam sheetrock on the inside, or whatever you
It's
want.
like a little four metal frame now.
I mean, to James'
Well,
point,
it's all
the details aren't in the
I
drawings.
think we need to see samples. Especially
Well,
if we're
we'd like to
moving
know if we're gonna be able to get a
it- Well,
subdivision
if we're
first.
moving it closer at
yeah.
first.
No,
really
we'll
moving it
bring all that
closer
in, no,
to the
we'll definitely
road,
bring all that in.
with the way the character of the neighborhood is.
Yeah, no, we'll do all that, but we need to know that we're gonna have a chance of getting subdivision on that, because that's where we proceed after that.
Well, let me ask you the question.
Sure.
Want to move this one direction or the other, and I just don't want this to be stalling here.
Yep.
Do you intend to submit any new plans?
Well, I'm gonna talk to my clients after, if we're gonna go with this. Okay, we'll sort of massage positioning and all that, what Aaron was saying and things like that, and we get that.
Where would you prefer the parking?
It's not that I would prefer, I'm throwing things out there as suggestions.
Right, I'm saying, where do you guys suggest we do? What would be like workable for you guys? Cause we
I
like
think we're divided on that. I think this board is divided on that. I think I'm hearing suggestions of moving the building forward, putting the parking all in the rear. And candidly, my position is it's too far forward for that particular area. They need to be set back further.
It would be helpful to know what the other building setbacks are in the adjacent area, absolutely.
Be better that way.
Like the neighbor.
See what this is, where this house is.
So what we would be trying to avoid is having the building stick way far out in front of the existing structure down
Yeah,
the road, so
right.
it can provide a sense of continuity as you're driving
Right,
down.
I would like it back. I don't want to like
So-
forever either.
But there's trade-offs to all the different options.
So how far back is that?
Maybe the aerial view would be a good one to look at.
You could ask, that's the.
They're right here.
So that's,
There you go.
so this would be a good way to take a look at, and there's the vet on the left.
And the vet is right there.
And if we know that the lanes on the highway are what, 12 foot?
Yes.
So that road between the fog lines is 25 feet, say. as a little measuring scale.
I think we've already decided we will not approve the lot the way it is. I think you guys have to decide if you're gonna go for the
Well,
variance,
she's
for
a-
the coverage.
The chairman
And
just
then
said
we
that
can do
there's
a
a,
public hearing.
the chairman just said though, that there's a question, would we do parking out back or in front if we're gonna bring revised plans in? So that's what we're trying to bat around here. So, I mean, the bed is right there. Right now, with that resubmitted, we are a little bit closer to the road than the front of the bed.
This.
Yeah, yeah.
And their parking is in the back.
Their parking's along the side.
Yeah, all the way straight.
Yeah, right down through here.
Yeah,
So-
Yeah, right. So
This is already.
you're showing, on the one with the, I'm gonna call it the tails. The face of the building is 80 foot back from the edge of pavement on your most recent submission. And so that would be 2.5 times the width of the road between the fog lines. If you wanna imagine it.
Now, this one here, that I just gave you tonight, this is 60.63.
From the edge of pavement, cause that's what we
No,
can
from the
see.
highway right away.
Yeah, but we can't see that on the aerial. So I'm just going off of
Right.
things that we can see.
Yeah, okay, so we had 22 roughly, yep.
So it's 80 foot.
Yeah.
From the edge of pavement to the face of the building, as shown on the most recent submission.
Yeah.
Which is approximately 2.5 times the width of the road between the fog lines.
Very little pointer up there. Let's see.
I have one.
Yeah. Is the cursor.
So. If blind anybody.
Will it show up on
So we
the?
get a consensus from the board on whether they would like to go close
It's
to
a
the road or
mouse.
not. Close.
It's not working. I'm trying to figure this out.
I don't.
There we
So-
go.
That's what I was confused with.
It would put the face of the building about here,
Correct.
and the current submitted plan details. Which is,
Kind of even with the,
seems,
that.
I mean, can you zoom out at all? Like, one click? Does that help?
They're equal to the back. On the, west side.
It's not dissimilar from across the street, it's not dissimilar to this property, which also is not of the size that would be currently, I mean, it's a pre-existing non-conforming lot size here.
Evan's house there is about the same distance back. That's a residential apartments.
I'm thinking any closer. It's not gonna be
I agree.
conforming.
So based on this kind of use, is it helpful to have a view in the front and a view in the back?
I'm comfortable with that.
And we would provide entrances on both ends, so front and back, so.
Either way.
Yeah, employees are days during the back, customers.
Residential.
Yeah.
It might be the kind of.
We
thing
can,
that just
the front
naturally
going
sorts
can be
itself out.
modified for whatever you want to do.
How does that fit with the potential future use change?
With the comprehensive plan?
No, say if the building being as shown front of it now, with the parking split between the front and the back, does that bother anybody if it were to change use in the future? Because you'd be limited, wouldn't you?
Well, they can, someone can come in with a site plan and say, I thought that or whatever.
But if this property line is here, they can't.
Well, if I may, you would have all this area here for spaces.
That's true.
So you could probably plug in 10 more spots if you
Yeah.
went over there too.
Yeah, it could be reconfigured, I guess, to understand.
So I'm thinking this ought to go back to some board of appeals, removing the tail.
Both tails or some of, but because she wants some doggy running space.
If I understood you correctly, you'd like to have maybe half of a linear side on the east side on the west side.
Yeah, wherever there's an area in the back grass.
At this point, you would take whatever you would be willing to give us for grass space.
If you tell us
If we
what
kept
makes
the-
you happy, and we will work with that.
What about a shorter tail?
If we kept
I don't
the
care,
part of the
whatever works.
tail,
I said, we do this here, break it up right here.
Parking on
Where
the
the-
tail or
Then she's
doggy
good.
run on the tail?
Where if the fence, the 8-foot stockade fence is showing a return to the gravel? What if the tail got shortened to that?
That's where he was from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just
Right there.
reiterating that.
So that would be
That
cut
would work.
off, this whole area here could
You
be
can
for
have
the
you
dog,
can have them play out there, it's on the
Yeah.
vet side, which is good.
Yeah,
25 foot wide.
Is that, and you could continue the fence with the chain link or whatever.
right, well, we're gonna do like a wooden fence for
Right.
the
but other
privacy
part-
one.
Yeah.
But the other one could be a chain link fence for the dogs to go
Yeah.
outside and play.
And you
That
could
was always
still have
what
your
we
parking
intended.
back there.
Yep.
And you could then show the pedestrian access into the building. Does the fire department have anything to say about this?
What about fire department?
Do they have to say anything about this?
I don't believe they do. Does?
Should we get Cushman?
I mean, I'm just considering that with the uses, the potential landscape uses, the material stored, the weird access stuff that we're considering.
I don't think we're considering weird access anymore.
That's true.
And what
They
he's,
can come up their own gravel driveway and come across and use that. Perhaps they should show that.
As long as, it conforms with the accessory use.
Okay, now if they were to submit a new plan to this board, removing the back of the tail against the back lot and half of the tail along the side lot, would this board be willing to make a positive recommendation to the zoning board of appeals for approval of an area variance?
Yes.
Do you need any more info though?
I would like to see an updated plan with which to make the recommendation referring to. With the dog run shown, the cleaned up, the parking, well, yeah, I mean, but these kinds of things that we've talked about.
Were you on the parking
Right,
again?
no.
Because the fences are gonna be huge, like, gotta have that shown, the pedestrian access.
For the public response.
This plan that was handed out tonight doesn't show any footer landscaping. It shows pavement right up to the edge of the building.
So we need to see an updated plan before we can make a
The parking
recommendation.
doesn't work. That one lot on the far south end, you can't get in and out of that.
Where?
You'd have to back up, you'd have to back up into the drive lane.
Right.
All the way up to get out.
There's no dimensions on any of the parking spots. There's no lighting.
this wasn't a submittal, what I
Some of
needed
it's on
tonight. This
the-
was, here's an alternative, so that's what that's on there.
Do we need do they need to show what you're talking about, the access over?
I would say.
You know what,
I
though?
know the Jamie.
Yeah, just putting a road.
Yeah. So we need to see, Gail, we need to see an updated plan that meets the site requirements.
Everyone who agrees with that?
Yes, and my note from earlier that I wanted to say is just the dates on all the plans are the same. Can you update the dates?
Oh, no, we're gonna do that, but like I said, once again, we wanna get
Every
that point
plan
that
we've
we're,
had is like September 23rd, so
right,
just to make sure we're looking at the
yep,
most
There's
current
only
and
stuff
then,
Yeah,
for
no
revision
problem.
dates.
yeah, that's a very minor thing compared to where we're gonna be able to
and
get it.
then one
So-
other note, just for going forward, it still says doggy daycare over on the other side of the property.
Yeah, once again, that's a minor thing for, yeah,
So I mean, just to take that.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
to clean it up.
yeah, no,
Everybody's
that's
been-
fine.
Where did you guys suggest the parking again? Did you want it split or on one side?
I think you should show what works, because Doug is saying that what you're showing doesn't work.
Well, in all due respect, once again, what was given tonight was,
Yeah.
here's an alternative subdivision we're thinking about. I didn't put the lighting, I didn't put all the other stuff, and landscaping is on there. I didn't put everything else on there, so that's,
Well, I can tell, because you're showing trees in the driveway,
well,
so.
Yeah.
what's wrong with that?
It just needs to be cleaned up, and I know how hard you worked with it, what, like 2 days to do it and all that, so.
Well, I think you do like a circular bed for the trees in the
Yeah, no,
driveway.
when it got moved, I think everything got mixed up.
It's just a joke.
She's not attacked. Let her.
Okay, Mr. Mastriano, based upon this board's consensus here, the board is suggesting that you submit revised plans before we will make a positive recommendation before we will vote relative to a positive recommendation to the zoning board of appeals. What date do you like?
It depends if Lisa will generously give me till 3 o'clock.
On Wednesday, sure.
Okay. So I will get her stuff by 3 o'clock on Wednesday. So what, that's cut off from the next meeting, so the
So
next
that
meeting.
will be on for December,
11, yeah.
Valerie, did you want details on the building?
Yes.
Did the number of spots make a
And we're
difference?
looking for a more residential style to fit along in that character of the neighborhood.
you've got December 11th.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you working with us.
I think what you're showing is good, it's just, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The last item on our agenda is Hunter's Ridge, Folly Drive. With respect to this, we have adopted a policy that if a petition is stagnating and sitting in front of us for too long of a period of time, we then send out a 60-day notice in writing to the applicant informing them that we will be entertaining a motion after 60 days for dismissal of the petition due to inactivity or failure to move forward. Is there anybody here on behalf of Hunter's Ridge, Folly Drive?
We're residents of Hunter's Ridge, Folly Drive.
We're here on behalf of the neighborhood, not the
You're not here on behalf of the developer.
No.
That being the case, since the developer has failed to show the applicant is no longer here or participating despite having received written notice, I would entertain a motion to dismiss the petition relative to Hunter's Ridge.
I'm going to dismiss.
I'll second.
Artie, motion by Artie, second by Valerie, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously, that petition is hereby dismissed. We do not do this on an ordinary course of business, but every so often, if something is sitting for a long, extended period of time, and there's no activity, and we've asked them to do things, and they don't come back after so many months, we will be doing these 60-day notices, and I'm recommending that you continue that into the future, so that things don't become totally stale. This is an application that came before this board over 22 years ago.
It's a long.
It's time it up.
How long do they sit before they get the notice?
It depends on what type of activity is going on, but I think our general policy is 6 months at least
Oh, okay.
before we do the 60-day notice.
And then if they want to come back, they have to start the process again, new application, new seeker, new everything.
They would. They would.
They forfeit their, application fees and all that.
It's dismissed. We don't continue it.
But
Yes, so the answer is yes.
I'll make a motion.
I was gonna say, Richard's not
I
here.
know, nor Ethan.
A motion by Judy to stand adjourned. Second by Arnie. All in favor? Aye. We stand